Hello and welcome to the Gone Traveling Podcast. We are hitting you over the weekend. We are looking at the BKT EuroCup. The EuroCup is back. Had the FIBA window, and they had games on Thursday, Friday, so we're hitting you up on Saturday. We, being myself, David Hein, taking the charge, Hein News on Twitter, and as always, Marco Munno, communication specialist and collaborator with Sky Sports Italia and La Giornata Tipo. Mark, how are you doing?
Hello, everybody. Yeah, we're back, so we're excited.
Well, we never left.
Hmm.
We never
Yeah,
left.
but
We gave we
we're
gave
back
our we
on
gave everybody
the.
a show last week, even though there was no Euro Cup. So, but yes, but the games are back. Yes, exactly. We've So this is episode 11 of the Gone Traveling Podcast of the 25-26 season. We are looking at round 9, which, as we said, was Thursday and Friday. That's always the case after a FIBA window. They go and have a Thursday Friday round after the window, and we have actually officially reached the halfway point, and so we can go and actually go back to last week's show. We kind of did our who we think are the award winners, etc. At the halfway point. Group A, we have two teams leading the pack. That's Cedevita, who have won 4 games in a row, and then we have Jerusalem, who have won 6 games in a row, both at 7-2. Then we have a bunch of teams bundled up at 4-5, 5 of them going from fifth to ninth place. And then there's lowly Hamburg still waiting for their first victory of the season. And Group B, Borg is leading the way at 8-1, 4-0 at home, and behind them is Besiktas at 7-2, and then things start getting interesting. Two at 6-3, and then another three at 4-5, etc. So let's jump in and talk about this week of games, this round of games, and we're going to start off. You wanted to talk about Borg and their 88-73 home victory over Buducnost. As we mentioned, Borg going to 8-1. Buducnost tucking in there at 6-3. Had Buducnost won the game, we would have had a three-way tie at 7-2. So, but we are as we are. You want to talk about Borg, so go for it.
Yeah, that's why we were looking to this matchup because to the potential tie, and also Buducnost was coming from 5 wins in a row, so they were really pretty a hot team, and but they in their clash with Berg they were defeated. Uh, Berg was really solid, and between second and third quarter, they were really effective. And also, there were basically the only quarter they were finding the 3 point shooting because they struggled a lot on that. They shot only 11 to 31. So, but anyway, they were able to put on the great break between second and third quarter, and they were fueled by Gak and McGee, and they showed they are pretty solid, even if Vudushnas was on the leading on the first quarter. Berg was really turning into good team on offense, even if both well known. They're well known for their defense, and another time they held Buducnost under 75 points, and they were able to score 88. And on the second quarter, they were able to shift the momentum of the game, and they were maintaining that. Um Using different weapons. So not only McGee, that is always on the first guy, the main guy, but they had Gak into their run in which they starting to lead consistently the game, and also Mokoka made his impact. So I think it was a pretty solid performance from Burke. and they reached the top on the group. And I think, as for now, you cannot think that they are not among the favorites for the whole competition.
The way they play defense, especially Gotch and Mukoka, McGee, he can light it up any time he wants to, really, or needs it. His 18 points was the most he's scored since he had 22 and 21 in the first two rounds. Um, you know, Small guy, 6 rebounds, got in there for 6 rebounds, 7 assists. Uh, you know, Gotch has been fantastic, 22 points. And defense, look, Buducnost shot 35% on 2 pointers. Yogi Ferrell, he had 18 points at the other end. But the rest of the starters combined for 23 points. That's not gonna do it, against a really strong, powerful defensive team like Borg. All right, let's. I want to move over to my game, and yeah, we have another upset of Bahcesehir. Slask got him a couple of rounds ago, and this time it was Neptunas at home in Turkey. 100 to 85. Bahcesehir dropping now to 6-3, behind that leading duo now of Cedevita and Jerusalem, as we had mentioned. Now Bahcesehir is now down there in third place. 3 losses in their last 4 games. Neptunas a really big victory to get to 4-5. And yeah, I mean, Neptunas just shot the lights out. 18 3-pointers, shot 50% from the long range, and they had everybody doing it. They had 8 guys hitting threes, 4 guys had at least 3 threes, and they really, controlled the ball too. They had 2 turnovers at the half, and then with 7 minutes left in the game, they still only had 7 turnovers. It was a 30-point lead. Neptunas just kept cruising and cruising and cruising, and then but Bahcesehir kind of like threw some pressure out there, try to get back into the game. They ended up bringing it down to 14 points, but it had been up to 30 points with 7 minutes left to go, and so yeah, huge win for Neptunas. After losing Kranik, and Tanolis is also still out for them to get this victory on the road over Bahcesehir. Massive win for them. That's they're in that bunch of 4 and 5 teams, and none of those 4 and 5 teams. Well, actually, Slask now as well. Slask is another one of those 4 and 5 teams that have a win over Bahcesehir, which is not really expected. So, massive victory over Bahcesehir.
And then you got the explosion of Velichka. I mean, from the Eurobasket, from the round of 16 of Eurobasket, in which he was the leader of Lithuania against Latvia. Seems like he's really growing. So he's now actually the leader in assists for all the EuroCup. And once again, he was really important also on the scoring side, which is not the first thing that you think when you think of him. You know, playing with pace and dictating the actions on Neptunus. But it seems like he's growing more and more solid and more skilled. So yeah, it's Velichka team, and you have to really uh, watch the guy.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. Euro Cup. I wouldn't be shocked if a EuroLeague team snatches him up. Further down in the season. Uh, depending on how much money he might want. But all right, let's move on to your guy that you want to talk about. That is Tarik Phillip from London Lions. London Lions went to Lithuania and took down Lietkabelis 74-61. Lietkabelis down at 2-7. And London Lions are in the other group, Group B, one of the three teams at 4-5. So go ahead and talk about Mr. Phillip.
Yeah, we a lot of times we said that we don't talk enough about London Lions, but this moment really Tarik Phillips as one of the headlines. He's always known as an all-around guy, a combo guard that can score from outside, from inside. He can be impactful on defense, on guarding his man, and he had really all around performance. So 15 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists. He showed his best qualities that he can do it all, basically. And he also held the record in the G League for most points in a half. He scored 39 on March 20, 222, if I remember well. Uh, and anyway, he was really the guy when London Lions was starting to building their break and leading the game between second and third quarter. He was really the guy, and he was the guy into all the measure statistics impact statistics. So he had really a great impact on the game. A huge win from London Lions, and so I think he proved that he can be still effective on this level. Really important for for his team, and yeah, so he was really able to score also on the fast breaks, and then he was really fueling London that is starting to uh, building some momentum also on the standings.
You see the 12 rebounds and you think, new record, new career high. It only matched his career high. Last season, when he was at Sopot, before he went over to Jerusalem, he had 12 rebounds, 21 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists against Jovan Tut. Yeah, massive game by Tarik Phillip. Tarik Phillip, I did a feature on him that was up on the EuroCup website a couple days ago, or no, last couple weeks ago maybe. So go ahead and check that out. The guy I want to talk about for on my part is Mitch Creek. Did a feature on him way back early in the season. I think he was our first one that we did. Australian guy who basically is just he's a nut. He has so many different crazy interests. So cool. And this was a game. So plays with Cluj. They were a 98-88 winners in at Aris. And Aris is 4-5. Cluj is 5-4. We talked about this game as a big one as well. With a team with the two teams battling, sort of for the middle of the group, Group A. And we kept on talking about, or I kept talking about Bryce Jones against Fats Russells, and it never really materialized. Jones, he had 11 points, 3 of 8 field goals. He had five. He had 6 assists, but he had 5 turnovers. Russell didn't start the game, and he came in. He had two fouls right away, and then with about 3 minutes left in the 3 minutes left in the third quarter, he only had 5 points, and then exploded for 11 points the rest of the way, and that really turned around the game. That changed the game for the 98-88 victory. I wanted to talk about Creek. Russell wasn't really there as much. Molinaro had a good game, but Creek was fantastic. He was there the whole game. 27 points, 9 of 13 from the field. He drew 7 fouls, had 8 of 10 free throws, had 6 rebounds, had 3 assists, a 35 PIR, and this is back-to-back games now of 35 PIR for the Australian. And watching that, we both are still kind of high on Aris. That that they're going to turn the season around, and right now they're just alternating wins and losses. But obviously, you see all the parity right now in that group. But Cluj, man, those weapons that they have, they're really, as long as their big guys can play, and that's what Creek was able to do. He was fantastic. He was there the whole game. So that's my guy that I wanted to bring up. Mitch Creek over at Cluj.
Yeah, and I talked about someone who is still able to prove his importance, and the other guy that I want to highlight for this round is Pierre Oriola. Guess who's back?
Yeah,
Guess who's back?
yeah.
And he's back on Manresa for the third time. He started there. He went there after his huge stint with Barcelona, with Valencia, already once, and now he's back again after being in Mexico. He was in Monterrey. He won the Mexican title, and then he's back, and his first game home from his return. He was really more than effective because in just 11 minutes he was able to, or 12 minutes, 11 minutes and 49 seconds, he was able to score 16 points and 7 rebounds without missing a 2 point shot and without missing a free throw. He was just missing one 3 point shot, and Marisa has a victory against Hamburg, 99-72. Hamburg is still winless, and then um, basically Oriola was there, bringing not only his veteran presence, but also really effective on the court. And Marisa had now really a huge front court. On the center, they got Akubunde Hyogu, who is maybe one of the best pure athletes on the EuroCup. You can see him,
Good job on that
flying.
name, man. Good job on the name.
Yeah, we saw him in Varese last season, and he was really a great a great athlete. And also they got Golden, and now they got Oriola. And it seems like they had interesting names. They had interesting guys. They also had Olinde. They also had Obasohan, and so now with Oriola, you get really a cool story to see him being on his own and being simply able to make a difference, to have an impact.
Yeah, I didn't even necessarily realize that they picked him up. So when I saw the article, I was like, wow, back again. Um, you mentioned the guys they have, right. It, they've been out a couple weeks now without Alfonso Plummer. Uh, obviously, big 3-point threat, and that gives Benitez really another weapon to dish around with. This is a big victory for them, for Manresa. They're in that group A, one of those 5 teams at 4-5, and they had the 4-game losing streak. They lost their last 4 games in a row. It was their first home game though since October 29th in round 5. They'd been on the road for the last 4 games, I think is what it was. But their first game since then. So huge victory for them. They could not afford, especially being at home, you cannot afford to lose to Hamburg. I want to bring up Hamburg really quick because I mentioned, I think last week, or the week before, that they were making moves. They're making more moves. So they got rid of JP Tokoto and they got rid of Justin Adler Davis. Obviously, we saw them. We saw that they added Devon Daniels before round 8, and now yesterday, Friday, day of recording, they brought in 1.78-meter guard Russ Williams, who was leading the Czech league in scoring with 21.6 points per game with Brno, and had played the previous 2 seasons in Switzerland with Fribourg. So the revolving door that is Hamburg, Viola Towers Hamburg, just continues. I have to imagine they're probably pretty close to running out of players moves that they can make. I mean, they already brought in Broinig as well. I'm missing somebody else that they brought in besides Daniels, if I'm not mistaken. So, but they're just they've gotten rid of so many guys already. Let's see if I can figure out off the top of my head. I know they got rid of Stewart. They had a Stewart, right? Stewart was on there. Carl Stewart. Carl's Stewart's gone. I think so. Dakota's gone. I think they got rid of Martin too, Nelson Martin. So I mean, just a revolving door. All right, let's move to the last guy that we want to talk about. That's Jordan Bayehe from Dolomiti Energia Trento. Sorry, the Cameroonian had a big game in Trento's 187 victory in Ulm. Both teams are 4-5 in Group B, so not the mess of Group A. So again, there's 3 teams in Group B that are at 4-5. Trento getting that victory in Ulm is big for them. Obviously, they had lost the last 2 games. Ulm, they just continue to crash. They've lost 4 of their last 5 in the EuroCup, and they've lost 10 of their last 11 games overall. So they have 2-5. They're working on 2 5-game losing streaks in the last 11 games. They only had that home victory in the EuroCup against London. So Bayehe was fantastic, 19 points, 4 of 7 from the field. Drew 9 fouls. Ulm just had no answers for him whatsoever. 11 of 13 from the free throw line. He's shooting 88% from the free throw line this season. 88% for the big man. 3 rebounds, 1 block. And this came after a pretty nice window he had. So wait. Before he had 19 points against Ulm. In the previous 3 games, he combined for 10 points. So a pretty big breakout. Cameroon, like I said, national team window, the African qualifiers for the 2027 World Cup. Lost to Cape Verde without Tavares, and then beat. Man, I'm drawing a blank. I looked at it this morning, but I think it was Libya. They beat them, and then they beat South Sudan, which is obviously a superpower, a growing superpower in African basketball. So Cameroon beat South Sudan in that African qualifier. He averaged 10 points and 7.3 rebounds in that window. And Trento, they scored 100 points, man, and that's not something they do very often. They did reach the 100-point mark one time earlier this year. They shot 59% on 2-pointers, and they had been really struggling. They were 17th on 2-pointers and 20th on 3-pointers. And their 100 points were 21 points more than their average. They were averaging 79 and they scored 100. Why? Because Ulm can't defend, man. 18th in scoring defense at 94.5 points a game, 19th in 2-point field goal shooting. They're going into the game, they were allowing teams to shoot 61% on 2-pointers, and they were dead last in 3-pointers. They were allowing teams not only shoot 61% on 2-pointers, but 40.5% on 3-pointers. You wonder why Ulm is crashing. They need to play some D there for sure. So yeah, Jordan Bay, big game. No answers for him. 19 points. 19 points, 3 rebounds, and a block. All right. We are going to move on to our preview, mini preview, I guess that you can say. Or is there anything else you want? Sorry, anything else you want to talk about round 9? Or do we wrap up?
That we said that Ulm was struggling with defense from the beginning, and now they're allowing constantly more or less 100 points. So you really have to keep up with that pace that you're giving to the opponents to win games, and you're not really always able to score more than 100. So that's how their streak is coming on.
And like I said, it's not just EuroCup. It's the in Germany too. 10 of their last 11 games they've lost. All right, round 10, the start of the second half of the season, regular season. So why don't you let me know what you got on your bill? We have these games are returning back to the Tuesday, Wednesday. So what are the fine matchups you're looking at ahead to?
Well, I think the first game that comes into my mind is the one between the Bahcesehir and Cluj, because we got Cluj that is always able to put up good performances, and then you have Bahcesehir who have to absolutely come back from the defeats. So it's kind of a sense of urgency, and you don't have really the best opponent to face off when you are in needing for a win, because Cluj seems like always able to snatch up some victories, like the one with Aris. So that's the main game that I'm looking for.
I am just looking really quick to see who they play. Bahcesehir play. Brutal. Oh wait, no, no, no. They play at Manisha on today. Today they play later today at Manisha in the Turkish league. Yeah, I obviously that's my number one. Then I have actually I have Ulm take hosting Turk Telecom. Obviously, Ulm got one of their victories against Turk Telecom when Ulm started the season. 3-0. That everybody, okay, nice. Turk Telecom lost their first 2 games, and everybody was like, the sky's falling with Turk Telecom. So that was one of their first losses, and Turk Telecom's gonna want revenge on that. And then the other one that I do have hang on one second, is Buducnost. Buducnost hosting London. And the reason I say that is, London is one of those 3 teams at 4 and 5, 3 teams looking up at Buducnost and Turk Telecom. So Buducnost really would like to get this victory at home and keep, at least London 2 games down. The same case, same exact case with Turk Telecom. They're 6-3 and Ulm is 4-5. So both Turk Telecom and Buducnost want these victories to keep those teams 2 games back, and they would actually be 3 games back. And now, then you're only talking 8 games left in the season. You're already 3 games back. You can always now you're like, okay, now we're safe, more or less, and then you can start looking at placement in the group. One other note is the game between Jerusalem and Hamburg will be kind of a special one because it's the first game of the European competitions where the game will take place in Israel. There hasn't been a game in EuroCup EuroLeague that's been taking place in Israel since October of 2023. So Jerusalem will be hosting Hamburg. I did an article about Cassius Winston. He talked a little bit about that, and look, Jerusalem's 7-2, and we count them as a favorite, and now if they actually get a bit of a home court advantage, a real home court advantage, this could be a real dangerous team. We know how strong the Israelis are in their support. So, yeah, that's what I got. Anything else?
We will see at the standing after this round, because in Group A we got from Cluj's 5 wins and 4 losses, but we got 5 teams that are 4-5, and all the results we really impact on the standing moving from this round on. So
Actually,
we
I
will
guess I guess
see.
in that regard, I think so. Those are places 5-9, and in that regard, actually, we do have one more game that we probably should talk about, and that's Neptunas hosting Slask. Both of those teams are 4-5, so that is a really really big game. And hang on one second, looks and who won that first game? The first game between those two teams was won in Slask, so by 10 points. So and this is what we're going to start talking about. Point differential. Slask 10-point win over Neptunas. Neptunas is going to really want to try to get a big victory as much as they can. First a victory and then by as many points as they can, because when you're starting getting into tiebreakers, look at that. Look at Ryer. They lost to Ryer by 20 points, and then so if they happen to be in a tiebreaker with Ryer, they're going to have a problem. So that is one game that we probably should mention. They do have a 13-point win over Manresa. So that is one more game that we should mention. All right. Anything else? Let's wrap it up. Okay, Marco, let people know where they can find you on the social medias.
Well, you can find me on all the social media, but mostly on X as Marco A Munno Munno.
And I am at HEINNEWS on the Twitter sphere. Everybody enjoy the rest of the weekend. Thanks for taking a little bit of time from your weekend, because we all know you are listening to it on the weekend. No, just and yeah, we'll talk to you again next week after round 10. So happy Nicholas Day for those out there celebrating, and we will catch you next week.